Guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. These two brothers down here need no introduction. They are my boys, my some of the OGs on YouTube. Jeremy and Clint Lockerbie. What's going on, man? What's up, Lockerbie brothers? How we doing tonight?
I'll let you go first, Jeremy.
Oh man, what's not going on? Still in my 19th year of military service. Again, it's probably been 2.5 years. One of the years was spent in a lot of the region of CENTCOM, which is Kuwait, Qatar. Spent a little time in Cyprus and Yukon. The military's taken me many different places over the last 2.5 years since we've been live. Uh, just busy with work, but still following Longhorn football. As we'll probably get into, not having the channel and not doing the pre and post game shows allowed us to attend more football games last year. So we did take in UTSA. We caught the home playoff game against Clemson. Of course, we ran into you at the Ohio State national semifinal. But just working and staying busy. That's it.
Yeah, I'm dealing with high school freshmen. That's my life now. You know what I'm saying? So literally, I was doing reflection. I was grading reflection essays before I got on here, and I'll be grading reflection essays probably until I go to bed tonight. It's the end of the school year. I tell you, it's good. One thing about what teaching is a 3 day here, a 4 day here, and then May 19th, it's you got a couple of months off. Try to dig into some other stuff. But yeah, I can tell you if you can handle a high school freshman class, you could do about anything you want to in the world. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely keep me busy. I'm excited to be back on here. Jeremy, called me this morning or he texted me this morning and said, "You busy?" And it was about 8 o'clock, and he was like, "Hey, by the way, I think we're going to do a YouTube show tonight." I'm like, "Oh, great," but a little nervous, but that's good. Like Jeremy said, we're definitely tuned in as much as we can be.
For sure.
We'll catch shows here and there, and then try to get on some of the boards sometimes. And definitely, it's funny because I was trying to figure out how to repost on Twitter a while ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we repost this? But hey, it's definitely nice, and we appreciate you inviting us on.
No,
So
thanks for being here, man. And we even brought Tran back for the special occasion. Tran, what's up, man? How you been, man?
What's going on? You know how I've been. I text you every day. But first, I want to
For
say,
the people, that
yeah,
means for the
yeah,
people.
yeah. First, I want to say, guys, thanks for your service. Like first and foremost, like I know we met a long time ago. I think it was at that what was it, the spring game and what? Yeah, a long time ago. And we've taken a lot of time together, and I really do appreciate everything you bring to this world. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this season.
Man, Tran. So I want to get into it with these guys because everybody is already, here in the chat. They're excited to see you guys back in the fold, right? And I'm just like, look, man, I got my guys back here. We saw each other, as Jeremy pointed out. We saw each other at the Cotton Bowl, and we were very optimistic. We talked a little bit of ball, the little bit we could before we went into the stadium that day. But Jeremy, I'll let you go first, man. Just where's your mind at with the program, with what you've seen since y'all been on YouTube, right? How the program has scaled under Steve Sarkisian, back to back playoff appearances. That particular day where we did get eliminated in the Cotton Bowl, but just to what you've seen, now this offseason going into his fifth season at the University of Texas.
Outstanding recruiter. Listened to the pivot the other day with Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons, and they talked about that. The kind of guys he's bringing to this program, that he's one of those coaches, few coaches in NCAA football doesn't have to appear the transfer portal because of the kind of recruiter he is. Uh, the one thing that's kind of changed that we haven't had in the last few years is the continuity in coaching. Got new coaches, new running back coach, had a new linebacker coach last year, but of course a lot's changed. A little bit's changed, but just the coaching continuity. But the caliber of athletes, the number one recruiting class, pick and choose, coast to coast again. When Mac Brown had this program rolling in the early 2000s, we had 85, 90% Texas kids on those rosters. He's going coast to coast from Hawaii all the way to New Jersey, down the East Coast, walking into Georgia, grabbing Justice Terry. So recruiting is tremendous. Just the production. I was thinking about the production of the running back room. I saw Derek Weisner uh, comment a little bit earlier, and it reminded me of Trey's production, Jared Gibson's production, C.J. Baxter's production the year before, how he's going to come back with Christian Clark, and it's just depth at every position across the board with talent. And you just got 12 folks drafted. You're going to have 16 folks, attend the OTAs and training camps. It's just the production coming out of the program. You're seeing them pick the best players. They're developing the best players. They've been in the national semifinal for 2 consecutive years. Just got to get over that one hump.
That's the thing, Clint. The hump. How do we get that breakthrough? Because I feel like and I talked about this on my Sunday show with some of you guys that were here, but we're checking all the boxes of what you would metric a blue blood against, right? Are they award winners? Competing for conference championships, making the playoffs, NFL draft picks, like everything you would associate with a blue blood. But now it's like, okay, it wins, right? Just flat wins. Clint, how do we have that breakthrough? Because that's essentially what we're looking for at this point. Sark
I,
has pretty much shown us everything else.
I think it's in the details, and I think it, going back to what Jeremy said, just kind of add to that real quick. In numbers, $35 to $40 million roster. That's what you're looking at,
Allegedly.
right? Allegedly that's the number out there, right? But if you're good at playing the game, play the game, right? But I think it actually comes back to the details, and I'll give you an example. There's Bert Auburn's gone, right? Like, to me, that hump this last year was, hey, you get down in the red zone and you're scared to kick a field goal, right? Or you have a defense that's top 3 in the country, but you don't have a punter that can knock it down to the 1 yard line, right? To change field positions. Or I think that's what it goes to. And sometimes I think Steve Sarkisian has a tendency to get in his head a little bit, get a little too flashy, a little bit too cute, like we seen at Ohio State, running a play we probably shouldn't ran down at the end of the end zone, where we probably could have just, pushed a couple of times, push. And I think that's the details. I think the team is there. I think the depth is there. I think, from a schematic standpoint, I don't think you really change anything. I think it's, how do you dig into the details? You come in, you bring to me, and Jeremy we were talking earlier. He was like, "What do you think the biggest off season? What do you think the biggest off season thing is at this point?" And I think it's honestly changing your special teams, bringing a kicker in that's known kicker, bringing a punter in that's known punter. Because I think everything else from a depth standpoint, minus wide receiver, you think you have what you have. So I think you're there. It's just really, how do you win that first semi football game to get to the championship? So.
Tran, what say you, man? How do we break through?
I mean, we're a couple plays away from breaking through. Yeah, that's the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
we really were at the goal line. It was in our end zone. Steve, we saw it. We saw it. We saw it live. No, honestly, it's with the season being so long, it's so important to have those close games early on, so they know how to fight through. They know how to fight through it. Honestly, we were leading most of the season for every single game by quite a bit, and then we let teams come back in. We got complacent. I would like just to see us just run roughshod on everyone we can. We just run the score up, and we don't leave it. And I think that's where you build that mentality, and you build the, like, hey, no one's going to stop us type of thing. And it starts with week 1. I mean, we're tested week 1, and we have a game that we can come back and get a little revenge. They're going to be celebrating their national championship with us on the sidelines, the opposite sidelines, and we were the only team that probably could have beaten them.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think it's that mentality that's built right now that's going to start for day 1 of the season.
It's interesting playing the same person back to back like that, like we are with Ohio State in the year of our Lord 2025, right? And some of the guys that are over there, you guys talked about some of the roster building element, and I want to kind of tap into that as well. Ohio State had dudes last year, right? Like, we talk about our 12 guys that got drafted. Think about all the personnel they have drafted, and they are now. Let's also be honest here too, and I want to have some Ohio State fans that are friendly come on and talk to us. We won't bite. We want to talk ball, but they are, to me, they're also replacing a lot of talent. So a lot of the questions that people have about, well, can they replace 12 people that got drafted? Well, we had 11 the year before. We replaced them. So I know what we can do when we're able to reload. Ohio State is in the same boat. But the difference is they also got Infinity Stones over there. They have a Jeremiah Smith. They have a Caleb Downs. Some of the other guys that aren't talked about as much, a Hancock on their defense that's coming back. They've got 3 offensive linemen that played last year that are coming back. So they're adding guys from Portal like a CJ Donaldson who will be taking over at running back. So the talent level, like, do y'all feel as though we'll be more equipped this year, talent wise, to handle that? I'll let you go first, Jeremy, on that one.
I do, but you're absolutely right. There's those blue bloods, the Ohio States, Texas, Georgia, that you're consistently seeing in the top 5 of recruiting rankings that are turning 5-star blue chip recruits. Just kind of replenishing. But something that Tran said kind of reminded me of something that Steve Sarkisian had said, and it's the domination. And because we're playing a 17-game season,
Mm-hmm.
18-game season, we do need to dominate games early in order to get these second and third team guys reps, because they may come in handy come hopefully get a bye, but the first round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, that kind of stuff. So I think that's important, is getting out ahead of folks and finishing folks early in the second half and making sure those second and third, fourth team guys get reps, because you're going to need them all. You've seen that in the transfer portal. We digging into defensive tackles. They've recognized that that's an area of need consistently, because that's not a position you're going to play snap in, snap out. But as far as the talent level, player for player, like I said, I talked a little bit about the depth of running back. I've talked about, Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, and the production coming back at wide receiver, plus the high 4-star, almost 5-star kids, and Jamie French and
Mm-hmm.
Taylor McCutcheon. And I just think the athletes that we continue to churn out, and again, we haven't had the opportunity to see a lot of these guys play consistently, but I think the same caliber of team is there for 2025 that was there for 2024, but you're going to run up against juggernauts that have the equal talent to you, such as Ohio State, Georgia. Those guys aren't going to go anywhere. And it's just like Clint and John were talking about, that it's in the details. It's that screen pass on, right before, inside their own 20, right before half. It's the predictability and not consistency, getting the ball in from the red zone that cost you that football game. Because as John kind of talked about, the winner of the national championship is coming out of that football game. We watched the national championship in Dallas that day.
100%.
So yeah, the roster, just go back to your original question, I think the roster is comparable to what we had last year. It's just those details and the refining of the special teams, kind of like Clinton talked about.
I think they may be a little bit younger. From a team standpoint, I think you have the talent. Absolutely. I think you've turned over better talent, right? Number 1 recruiting class. I think you turned over better talent. I think the issue, and this goes back to getting them in games early, right? Like, hey, let's blow these teams out so you can get these guys in. Because I think again, you had, Quinn Ewers that was here, steady ship, right? We got to think how much playing time did Arch get, right? Like that, he's still going to make mistakes out there, right? And I think that's something we're going to have to understand. But I think people are putting on this pedestal, first round draft pick, all this other stuff. But again, how many games has he played in, right? And I think that goes back to your wide receiver core: Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, playing time. Who's going to be your third wide receiver? I think that's what it comes down to. From the running back standpoint, right? We know what we got in Trey Wisner last year. Obviously, you dealt with some injuries with Cedric Baxter, who's coming back, who played. I think that's more from a. I don't think from a talent standpoint. I think from a where are they? We haven't seen them play as much as what we did these previous. Alfred Collins was here 5 years. Broughton here 5 years. Like the list goes on and on. These guys played, and developed over time versus bringing talent in here and you're 3 years and you're out. I think that's what really, when it comes to the squad's going to look like. What are we going to get from these guys that we haven't seen consistent action from year over year?
It's interesting, Tran, in Texas football talk here is, you talk about even some of the guys that did play a little bit. They may not have been starters, but they got their chops in there, right? Like DeAndre Moore, who I think is going to have a big season, health willing, right? I mean, the ability to play both in the slot and the outside, especially with Emmett Mosley coming in from Stanford, which gives us more freedom
Mm-hmm.
on how we will use DeAndre Moore. I think he's going to be a stat monster for us. I mean, he was in the Clemson game, like some of these, or the Arizona State game, I think it was, where he had like 10 catches for, like some of these games. I got to go back and actually verify, but there was one of those games where he just went. We needed him, right? Like it was him and Matthew Golden. So we've had games where even Wingo played at Ann Arbor,
Mhm.
120,000 people there, right? Like now it's just like, can you be consistent, right? Like I want to see these guys. And what's encouraging to me is that I want them to be making the Anthony Hill jumps. Anthony Hill clearly made a jump from 2023 to 2024. The more we put on his plate, especially after Jalen Ford left his program, the better he was. I expect Colin Simmons to do the same thing, and I expect DeAndre Moore. I expect Arch Manning to be making these jumps. Tran, what say you? Because I want to bring up the schedule and kind of break down the schedule to me is very interesting this year. But in terms of just your thoughts matching up with Ohio State and whatnot, while I pull this up, sir.
I mean, I think we're on equal playing field, to tell you the truth. I even said that in when we went into the Cotton Bowl this past year. Everyone was saying that we were supposed to be like it's going to get ugly against Texas. I was like, no, we match athlete for athlete. If you put them side to side, we do. And trust me, I know there's a bad taste in that team's mouth. I mean, go back and watch which safety was it
Michael,
that lost it in
Michael
the
Taft.
yeah, there you go,
Taft.
Taft. It was Taft. What I if I'm a Keena and I'm the DB's coach, I'm playing that video that week. I was like, remember that pain.
Mhm.
Like I'm getting them ready. I mean, trust me, we have the athletes. And you were talking about Ryan Wingo and everything like that. Y'all forget the first 5 weeks, Ryan Wingo had one play every game that you're like, holy crap, this
Yeah.
kid is special.
Reverses.
So I mean, I'm the one thing that I'm so impressed with on the turnaround of this is that it's being ran like a professional organization. We lost a lot of people, but what did we do? We went in and we went in and got in a whole bunch of like our D line. We went in. What do we have? What do we get? 5 D line in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I believe so. Between
It's like
yeah,
free
I mean
agency.
Yeah,
You
it's
it
fill the
is.
gaps that you have on your roster by transfer portal, which I look at as free agency, and recruiting is the draft. So
And
that's
that
what
doesn't even include, guys like Alex, again, the prep guys, right? The Alex Januaries of the world, the Justice Terrys that you bring in. That's to supplement, right?
mm-hmm.
Everything. And because
It
think
allows the
about it.
growth of them. It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean, think about it. These dudes, you don't think that they saw starting with really Coburn in them when they got drafted, and then Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy got drafted. And then Alfred Collins was a second round pick this past year. Vernon Broughton went to the Saints before he was halfway through our picks
mm-hmm.
of Texas players, both of our defensive tackles. So the credibility, and that's over two. Jeremy talked about the coaching staff shakeup. That's across Bo, get off the bus, Bo, and that's across Coach Baker, right? So that's now multiple regimes where they've gotten people drafted. That's not attributed just to one person. PK can use that in his pitch to sell this defense of no matter who's here, we will still have the right plan for you to get you developed and get you where you need to go. So, I'm very, very encouraged by that. I mean, the amount of guys that they brought on these defensive line that are veterans, that have size, that can hold up in short yardage and be multiple, right? Because we're going to play some teams that are going to go up tempo. We're going to play the variant shoot teams. I need my guys that can get after it in 3-tech, like Watson, right? Like we got options is what I'm excited about.
Hopefully 17 games. You need that depth.
And the
Real
depth.
quick, I don't want to get off this Ohio State thing real quick. Me and Jeremy laughing as you talking about this Ohio State football game and how
Please.
close it was. I'm gonna tell you, I almost stroked out. Almost stroked out up in that juncture
Oh
to
no.
the point to the point where like, oh shit, I'm getting dizzy, man. I need to sit down. And there was two. We were surrounded by Ohio State fans where we were at. We were in the same end zone down there where y'all, not where you were at, but that same end zone where that happened, right?
Right.
And yeah, where we should have went in. And I'm sitting there and I'm going in on these Ohio State fans. And Jeremy's like, you got to chill out, bro.
they
They're
were holding
old,
in,
dude.
y'all.
They're
They were
old,
holding
man.
in, and
They're
Clemson's
old.
like
He's
beating
like,
them
I'm
up.
like, I'm like, so if anybody's down to go to Ohio State, man, probably can't get tickets now, man. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But I'm telling you, that was a stroke out game for me. I thought I was done. So Oh yeah, I want some Ohio State.
So while we've been sharing some Kool Aid, you guys are back, so we've been taking it easy. But of course, the chat is jumping right into it. Charlie Williams here, but he says, "Hey, I'm worried about left guard and right tackle." Right, so that's essentially Neto in there versus what's his name, Nate Kibble, and then you got Brandon Baker over at right tackle with Kojo, right? Like that whole situation going on there. What concerns do y'all have about this football team? I mean, Clint kind of talked about the youth, right? But objectively, what concerns do you guys have? Tran, you want to go first?
Sure. Unproven talent. That's it. I mean, but I know the talent is there. One thing that I've noticed about this coaching staff is that they haven't lied to us to pump us up. If that makes sense. Like I always go back to the opening press conference with Sark. He goes, "This isn't a national championship team, so curb your enthusiasm." He goes, we're gonna push this team and we're gonna build a team. That's what we're gonna do." And now he's bragging about how great everyone is. Now he's like, the cake is baked. Basically, we're ready.
Ooh,
We're
the
ready
Charlie
to go.
Strong
Yeah,
reference.
yeah.
Damn. Jeremy, what say you?
Areas of concern, again, like offensive line may be one. Again, I feel good with Cole Hudson, DJ. Of course, what you saw with Trevor Grousby did at the end of last year. But yeah, just unproven line that we haven't had an opportunity to see play a lot of snaps. I just wonder about can the defense improve? Because I mean, that was a top 5 defense last year in college football, but I don't see that we had a lot of drop off in those crucial areas, like you said, middle linebacker with Anthony Hill. I think. Excuse me, shoot, I just lost my Duncanville guys. Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd I say that? Colin Simmons. Shoot.
Yeah, Colin Simmons.
I think
in January.
Yep, I think those guys their production will pick up. I just think we'll get more pressure on the quarterback. It's just can Colbert, Shaw, these veteran defensive linemen that we picked up in the portal. You talked about their size. I think they're more athletic than the Tia Saveas and the guys that we got in the portal. But I'm just looking for this defense again to be probably the side of the football that continues to be in that top 10. And then how much explosivity, right, can Arch Manning bring? Because Tran was talking about the explosivity of Ryan Wingo. How many plays we were sitting at that UTSA game when Arch Manning took that thing 75 yards in the quickness, right? And we've seen him throw the deep ball, right? So how much more explosive can this offense get to marry with that defense? I feel like it's going to be upper echelon in NCAA football this year. But that would be probably my area concern is youth on the offensive line.
So Landon said dominating the A gap. Landon, thank you for your super chat, brother. We appreciate it. Got Texas football talk back in here. Y'all know the Lando show real well. We've done all done joint content together, so he was real excited to for you guys to come on here. But he's saying the A gap, right? And Lando, it's funny you say that because I would say that depending on if you're talking about the offensive or defensive line, it could go both ways.
True.
What say you, Clint?
I think honestly, it starts with I'm not gonna worry about the defense side of the ball. I think the pieces are there. Like I think they just try to figure out who's going to play. Which corner, nickel.
Sure.
Who's going to be playing. I think I'm not worried about the defense side of the ball. I think it really starts with Jake Majors, or really the center and the tight end. That's really, I think, when you're talking about the offensive structure, I think in A gap, I think it starts with really losing Jake Majors, somebody who's been around for 5 years, knows this offense in and out, and all of a sudden you got a new center calling, protections and doing those things. I think that's really where it starts at. And then losing Gunnar Ham, who was developed. I understand you bring a guy in, 2 guys in at tight end that have experience in the ACC or ACC, right? Yeah, ACC.
Yeah, ACC.
But at the same, but at the same time, to me, that's really where
was Cal in the ACC when y'all were still on YouTube.
No,
probably not.
There wasn't Pac-12 when we were doing YouTube.
It's weird to say that. I'm thinking in my brain, I'm like,
it's like, were they?
real quick. But I think that's where it starts at. I think it really it starts with Jake Majors, losing Jake Majors and Gunnar Ham, because I think those are the two vital positions. Again, I think, obviously losing Banks and Williams at tackle, and then losing the guys you did, or losing Connor at guard. I think, yeah, those are things you need to worry about. But to me, it's really starts at center, and replacing Jake Majors, and trying to find a tight end that's going to give you not only the ability to go out and catch passes, but also be able to block for you as well.
We
So,
have to reiterate, tight end in Sark's offense, this is his words, not ours.
mhm.
Second most important position in my offense because of the amount of responsibility that they have. It's the reason why it took Jatavian Sanders a year to get going. It's the reason why it took Gunnar Helm multiple years to get going. But then you saw the value of them once they were ramped, right? They're almost essential to every play, including run game. They're just as much, whether it's sealing the edge, whether it's getting out in front as a blocker in screen game. The versatility that we do, we could be in 12 personnel, but we're empty because of how we use our tight ends, right? They're also being asked to run not just typical seam routes, but like everything, right? So the Jack Andrews guy that's coming in, the young boys, Amari Winston, is Michael Terry the third going to be used as a H back? What's his role? Can Jordan Washington be what he's been as advertised behind the scenes? These are questions, right? Because you know who's another one that's a sleeper that we lost? Juan Davis. Juan Davis was starting all these games, by the way. You just wouldn't notice him because he didn't get the ball that much. But in the Ohio State game, Trey and I were like, well, we're running the ball. If Juan Davis out there, we run the ball, right? And we felt good about it. Same thing when we moved Agbo. Remember, to the big heavy package. Like, that's how they use these guys. So none of them are here. Juan Davis is gone. Helm's gone. Agbo went to the portal. Can these guys? I'm glad you brought that up, Clint, because it's a really, really good point that I think needs to be emphasized in terms of the importance within the framework of our offense under Steve Sarkisian. Any other points before we get to kind of schedule breakdown, fellas? We got another super chat here.
I'll tell you, I'm not worried about our linebacking play. I'm really excited to see Ty Anthony Smith. I think he's going to have a breakout year.
So
I love his football instincts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sleeper one right there. Man, you go into the sleepers.
And also, I think our end play will probably be the best in the nation. Everyone talks about Colin Simmons, but we're also forgetting about Ethan Burke, and then also Colton Bassick, who got hurt throughout the year, and he was having a good year at the beginning of the year. So, I mean, I think we're very stacked right there at that position.
And add to that, I think they moving Trey Moore around a little bit,
Yep.
In and out. And I think I think that's going to be a chess piece you're going to be able to use too.
Yep.
So yeah, you're with the linebacker. Like I said, the defense. Yeah, outside of some guys, unknown commodities in the secondary that didn't got some play, but not a lot of play. I think defense is solid.
Fellas, this kind of pulls to the super chat too. It says with the edges, and thank you for the donation, WTP Sports Dudes. With the edges, can we play essentially press man? Right? That's what he's effectively is the question here.
We got Coach Akina, baby. That's what we do.
I get that. I get that we want to play press. I understand that we want to kind of get up on guys because with the edges you're going to have, you're going to be able to get to the quarterback. But the way this defense played,
that's not what we did last year.
No, it was all match. It was all match. Like to me, it was funny. I was having a conversation with a safety that's at the high school I go to, and we were talking about coverages and stuff, and he's like, well, most people play man. And I was like, well, go look at the 4th ranked, 3rd best defense in the country last year. They played very little man, and they played a lot of match zone. So I don't know if you get away from what you're good at. Yeah, you have the people, and I think you're bringing in the guys, caliber athletes at 6'1", 6'2", 180 to 190 guys that get your hands on them. But I don't think you get away. Again, do you go away from what worked if they're good at what they do? That makes sense. I just maybe do you add to it? Probably, but do I think you go to a man, team? I'm not sure about that.
That's not our identity. No, you're spot on, Clint. I mean, when you think about the conversation of fear, that this fan base had before the Ohio State Cotton Bowl about Jeremiah coming off of what rightfully so off of what Jeremiah Smith was doing, even with a Thorpe Award winner and Jade Barron. Everybody's like, is Jade going to travel? Is Jade going to try? And I kept telling people, no, you do what got you here. We're not going to. That's not how we're going to guard him, and that's not how we guarded him. We had more of a. We played our defense and we bracketed and we handled it effectively. Now, when a receiver runs in your area, it's now man. Okay, you got to play the guy that's near you. But we did not have this mentality of we're going to go double Jeremiah Smith. We're going to go. We played our coverages. We did not go straight man. Johnny Barron wasn't running back on the floor following Jeremiah Smith. We whether he went on either side, whether it was Manny's side. Now, Emeka started eating in the slot. That's a little different. But, and, we got to be mindful of that in terms of what we're doing. I'm glad you emphasized that point, Clint.
And I think with that, with the press, with the zone coverage, the seniority you had back there with Tapp, Makuba, and Jade Barron allowed you to do that a lot. Some teams run man because the communication's not there. They let guys walk in their zones. They don't understand who's their responsibility. But when you got a guy like Tapp back there and Jade and Andrew, they knew exactly what their responsibilities were. And again, you don't get as fatigued playing zone as you do man. Nobody wants to turn and run with somebody 60 yards, play after play after play. That's another thing that running zone allows you to do, is not fatigue yourself, as long as you know your assignment again. And I think Coach Akina, and having Tapp back is a big thing. Having Jelani McDonald back is a big thing. Having Manny Muhammad back is a big thing. So, and like Clint kind of said, you recruited to have that ability with guys like Kobe Black. But to me, why change as long as the communication stays the same?
We got another super chat here, fellas. Champ, what's up, Champ? Thank you for your donation. Appreciate you as always. Another long time person. Champ's been around since y'all were around. With the uncertainty with the health of Baxter and the inexperience behind Wisner, shoulder, should we be more concerned with the running back room? I think some of you guys listed that as a strength.
You want to take this, Jeremy? Because I think you did list it as kind of went down that list of.
Baxter was productive right before the knee injury, right? He was our number one back as a freshman. Trey came in and rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. I mean, so with that, if he fully recovers from a knee injury, you got possibly 2 1,000-yard backs if you distribute carries like that. And Jarrett Gibson is good on the goal line, short yardage. He was productive as a freshman. So how many running backs are you going to run out there? You're not going to get to that fourth or fifth guy. Do you have Christian Clarks? Do you have the guys that you recruited in this year's class? But how many running backs are you going to utilize? And like I said, CJ was picked to start over Trey the year before, was productive as a freshman. He gets hurt. Trey comes in, is productive. Again, it's going to come down to the offensive line. I think we have the backs in the backfield. It's just going to come down to, like you said, plug and play with Hudson, Neto, Baker, and then Gooseby now is a full-time starter. But I think we got plenty of production in the backfield to be successful.
My question was the last time Steve Sarkisian didn't have 1,000-yard rusher.
That's why Craig was chasing it against A&M.
Right. But I think you got three backs that run for 500 yards. You got a successful running back room. I think depending on, how carries work and, with Trey coming in the way he did last year, it had given him confidence going into this year for sure.
I think people are sleeping on Trey.
Yeah.
I still think people are sleeping on Trey. We forget he was a true sophomore last year. Mm-hmm. He's still, and y'all are former DeSoto
Eagles. Yes, sir.
Right, DeSoto Eagles. Like, so at DeSoto, not only was he splitting carries with Tiger, mm-hmm. but he also got over here. He was playing receiver. He was playing special teams. He was playing all over the place. His body was, for what he took on last year under the circumstances of when the injury occurred to Cedric Baxter, then injuries and fumble issues start to hit up Blue. And we're still – Trey Wisner is the only running back returning that ran for 1,000 yards in the SEC. That's it. He's the list. There's no other returning running back on any other team in the 16 teams that ran for 1,000 yards. It's him. And I see people just either leaving him off the list or people thinking he's not good enough. I keep hearing all these things. Now, were we the most productive running the ball against Georgia and Ohio State? No. But that's not all on him. That is a function of that's a function of Steve Sarkisian. That's a function of the offensive line. Some of that is on Quinn. Like all of that factors in, but to act like we have one of the most productive returning runners, the most productive returning runner in the SEC, and one of the most productive returning runners in the country, and I feel like we're just dismissing that. Cedric Baxter might not be ready for Ohio State. I want to say that. We don't know if he's going to, and if he is ready for that game, what's the workload realistically? And if you're the coach, to Tran's point about how long the season is, do you even want to go out and say, hey, go carry the ball 15 to 20 times against Ohio State? Is that the move, Tran, in game one with somebody coming back from a torn ACL? Is that what we're
No,
doing?
no. Like I know medical advances have happened a lot, and youth is amazing for healing, but a little over a year to heal from that with cutting and planting and getting hit over and over again, that's just too short, honestly. I wouldn't expect to see him full strength until maybe even around the playoffs, to tell you the truth, where he has the mental aspect of him being able to run between the tackles without feeling pain or anything like that, or clinching up. That's what I'd expect from CJ Baxter.
And I think he can get to a point, if
Yeah.
we do it right,
Mm-hmm.
he can get to a point where he's what he was around playoff time in 2023. If we get that Baxter by the end, to me, you're playing the long game with CJ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in a rush to just roll out there and get him stats. And I feel like some people are rushing the process. Now, hey, what's up, Nate? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for supporting. I do want to talk to the chat here a little bit. So Matthew Miller, my boy Matthew, good friend of mine. He's a Trey Wisner doubter. And he says, and I'm being facetious when it comes to Matthew, but he does not believe he's a number one back. My thing is, do you need that on day one, even if you don't believe that? Like, I feel like the room collectively can be that and give you what you need. But if y'all see Matthew's point here and want to address this,
Yeah, I don't. Number one running back is number one running back. They usually go third or fourth in the NFL draft, right? Like unless you're some, Bijan Robinson, list a couple of other people, right? Like to me, running back productivity is more about just one guy. Nobody's handing the ball off to somebody and saying, "Hey, carry the ball 25 times now. Go out here and give me 150 yards." That's not Steve Sarkisian's thing anyway. He wants guys to catch out of the backfield. That's just as important as if running. Then get me flat, catch the ball, take it 5 to 10 yards, free first down. To me, I don't necessarily think you need a number one running back to be a national championship team. I think you need to have productivity out of your running back room. But to go back to talk to Trey is I think it's more than just the production. It's the grit. It's the toughness. To me, he's what you want in the locker room. Like he's not taking a play off, right? Like to me, it goes beyond. That's what makes the number one running back to me. It's the productivity, but what else are you bringing? And to me, it's that grit. It's that tireless, that effort that he brings with every play, but also he's a locker room guy. And I think that's what's important. But I don't think you need a number one running back to be a national championship football team. I don't necessarily need.
I will jump real quick and stay on running back just for one thing. I don't know who the Keelan Robinson and Jaden Blue are in this running back room yet. The guy that's going to catch 2 touchdown passes down the field against Ohio State, who can get one-on-one coverage against a linebacker and beat him across the middle like he did against Georgia. With those explosive plays, catching the ball in the backfield. I don't know that. I think Cedric and Trey are kind of the inside zone, bully ball. Trey will bust a big run like he did against OU. But I don't know who that guy is, that speed back that Sark likes to use that motion with and then kick the ball back to with an open sideline to run down. I don't know if it's in this
Great
recent recruiting
question.
class, but That's the one thing I'm thinking I'm missing out of this current running back room.
This is so to your Keelan Robinson point. I know that they've had a conversation with a particular player who's been moving all over the place, but Ryan Niblett had moved to defense. They were, he wants to play, right? And I applaud the kid because he could easily just hit the portal and bounce and go elsewhere. He was recruited as a receiver. He played quarterback. He played running. He played everywhere in high school. Then he moved to running back for us. I'm hearing that he's moved back to the running back side and more so embracing some of that Keelan Robinson role. So maybe it could be somebody like that who does have some experience. He did catch some passes for us. That's the only person that would probably fit that profile, honestly, to what you're looking for, because Christian Clark doesn't fit that profile to
Mm-hmm.
me. I mean, he's more like Trey and Jarrett Gibson and CJ, right? So to me, the only person that's not like the others would be Ryan Niblett to give you what you're looking for. But you're right. That is a very important component of Sark's offense. Quentin, thank you for your $20, sir. I appreciate you. Horns always up. Guys, while we take this quick break, hit the like button. If for nothing else, we have the Lockerbie brothers here from Texas Football Talk. I'm so happy that they're here. We got Tran on for the special occasion. We're talking ball for the next 18 minutes. We got a hard stop at 9 o'clock. All of
Hard
us
stop.
do. Hard stop. We're using work terms today, baby. But I want to talk about this schedule. Let me go back here because this is great conversation. And if you guys want to continue the conversation, make sure you comment below, subscribe the whole bit. But let me move this over here. So, fellas, obviously we go to Columbus. We start the season there. If you notice, the next 3 weeks though are essentially the tune-up slate, right? This is the part of the season where Tran is like, hey, I want as many people playing as possible. We're trying to run up, we're trying to get everybody in the game, right? And everybody snaps. We're trying to prepare our depth for conference play. You open conference play at Florida in the swamp, a team that ended the season and, saved Billy Napier's job, the whole bit. And then, you get a bye before the Florida game. So you have 2 weeks to get ready for that game, but you start there. And then I kind of divide that between Florida and Mississippi State. To me, that's like the road part of your schedule. Because if you notice there, we're never home. Even the OU game, we're in Dallas. So from Florida to Mississippi State, y'all got to be road warriors. That's going to be tough. 3 out of 4 games, you're on the road. To me, November is really your rivalry kind of month, right? Because Georgia, you finish with Georgia, Arkansas, A&M.
Mm.
Now, you see what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that's kind of how I'm dividing this whole thing up. Like, what say you when you look at the schedule?
Don't put 100 on my alma mater and Sam Houston.
What's up, Texas Platinum? Thank you, Quentin. Quentin, thank you. What's and
Nah,
Texas
I'm looking
Platinum? I need to get y'all on here on the Tuesday night as well. Whenever y'all
at
ready.
I'm looking at those last 3 football games. Like
It's a lot of emotion.
yo,
That's an emotional into the season.
it is. It's good you have Arkansas and A&M here. But it is. There's a lot of emotion there, and thank goodness. I don't think you're gonna again the way that the college football playoff is set up now. You know, and I hate talking about losses, but losses don't kill you as bad anymore, right? Um, but that to me, like you said, you're looking at this schedule and you're like, all right, you got 4 road games followed by really a juggernaut in Georgia, going to Georgia again where we can't win, like we can't win in Georgia or barely win. It's a mess there. But and then you got Arkansas and followed by Texas A&M, which is absolutely going to be crazy. Me and German made look going to that game. So I don't know. But the first thing that came to my mind, don't put 100 on Sam Houston State. That's my alma mater. So.
I feel like I'm dividing this schedule into 4 quarters.
Mhm.
And Ohio State essentially is its own quarter. And it's because that's not only is it the rematch, it's a road game. It could be. We'll see what the rankings are. It could be number one versus number two, or number two versus number three. Some iteration of that. And then the second quarter is like your tune-up games. The third quarter is the Road Warriors, and then the fourth quarter is just rivalries. So it's like, because Georgia's become one with us recently here. That's why I'm including them in that bunch. And then you throw Arkansas and A&M right after that. That's this team's going to have to be emotionally intelligent, Tran, on how they handle and navigate this schedule, because this is very interesting how it's broken down. What say you when you look at this?
When I look at this schedule, I agree with you. I think the first breakdown is Ohio State, because no, honestly, we're either going 4-0, or we're going 3-1 through the first four games. I think Florida is a very good matchup, especially with what they know. Like we beat A to
They also sat. They also like kind of. I'm not going to say punted our game, but once they
yeah,
knew Lagway wasn't going to play,
yeah,
they like got ready for Georgia. Let's put it that way.
and they want that Manning versus Lagway title. That's a huge game for them. Um, I don't know. I don't know if we get out unscathed between the middle, like Florida and Mississippi State. I think that's going to be very difficult for any team to do.
Mhm.
Um, Vanderbilt. At home, I feel they're not going to get the same calls that they got at Vanderbilt. I think we're going to handle that pretty.
Sark is ready for year 9 Pavia
Yeah,
after.
year 9 Pavia. But yeah, the last three games, that's a tough little road for them. But then again, we also haven't seen the makeup of other teams as well. I mean,
True.
every season's different for every single team, and one loss does do a lot to a lot of kids' minds. So I'm just, I like what we have going, and I don't see a team on there that we can't beat. It's just, can we do it back to back to back to back? We have that? Is Manning really that leader on the offense that, hey, we got to drive down with 2.5 minutes left for a go ahead touchdown? Does he have that mindset? I don't know yet.
Landon, thank you for the super chat. Offensive line, when he was talking about his A gap comment, he was talking about the interior offensive line. He said Texas defensive line plays the reason for the resurgence. I always say the quickest way to the college football playoffs is through your defensive line. If you can just harass people and mess up their game plan, I mean, there's not a whole lot they can do.
I just
Jeremy, how are you looking at
yeah.
this, man?
I was just thinking, Texas hasn't lost a road game since 2023, to my recollection, because 24 you lost to correction. So the year we went to the semifinal and lost to Washington, we lost a neutral site game to Oklahoma and a neutral site game to Washington. Last year we lost a home game to Georgia, a neutral site game to Georgia, and a neutral site game to Ohio State. Um, and like I said, I was listening to that Pivot podcast, and I just know how this team is built, and I think they look forward to putting on the Icy Whites and going on the road and shutting people up in Tuscaloosa and Ann Arbor. So I think about the opportunity to go to Ohio State. I think about the opportunity to go to Athens, and with this team on the road, and then getting that A&M game at home. We were at Clemson. That place was crazy for that first round playoff game. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for that A&M roster to come in here to DKR this year. But I just think about this team's road mentality and how Sark's kind of like he breaks it down just like you do, Steve. He breaks the schedule down like an NFL coach, 4 quarters of the season. Utilize the buys, as Tran was talking about a little bit earlier. Make sure you play your young guys early so that you have them late in the season. He looks at it just like an NFL coach would. Progressing through the regular season and into the playoffs. But I was just thinking about the road games on the schedule, like how Texas has stood up the last several years when they get an opportunity to be on a big national stage with another blue blood in their house and how they performed.
It's interesting too, looking at the buys. So our first buy like I was saying, comes between Sam Houston and Florida, essentially before we start SEC play. And then our second bye is between Vanderbilt and Georgia. So you get a nice, you're home. You come back home after being not home for 4 weeks, essentially. You're home, and then you do get a bye before you have to go to Athens. I do think that matters. Any little bit you can get, and then the last 2 weeks you are at home.
Come back
I
home.
know it's going to be emotional, but you are at home for through Thanksgiving, right? And then we'll see what happens if we earn the opportunity to go to the SEC championship game. But like Tran, you made a good point that I want to reemphasize. Like, we don't know the makeup of these other teams. This time last year, I would have told you, man, blah blah blah, and then everything. And then when we started going belt to ass on certain people, the narrative did flip, and all of a sudden is y'all haven't played nobody. So and I was like, I thought that's why we paid all this money to come to this conference so that we could play people. And then we got here, and then everybody said there was nobody here. So I'm confused. You know what I mean? Like, so it does matter what these teams look like, because the narrative will flip real quick. Like, it flipped with Michigan. And what we found out at the end of the season was that Michigan wasn't even that bad. They just had no quarterback whatsoever at all. Because they still ended up beating on Alabama and beating on Ohio State to finish the season. But I was told that win was not, impressive. So we got to keep things in context too when we look at the schedule here.
No, it's just us. I mean, everyone wants to put us down real quick because our whole thing was, we didn't play a night away game last year. That was until A&M. That was the only thing that we had, and then now we have to go on the road 4 weeks in a row. Oh, but look at the teams. Look at the teams you're playing. Playing Florida, Oklahoma, two teams right back to back.
That's college football, man. You gotta love it.
Yeah. Hey, fun fact: I met Chad Morris yesterday, for the Arkansas coach.
Where does he work now?
No, he's out of Arkansas.
What's he
But
doing?
he was
under.
So he was.
I thought he got fired from there after the fake punt.
I don't know.
North Texas.
I don't know, but he was at my son's training facility.
Oh, okay.
Which I think I guess he's friends with the owner. When he was at Lake Travis, he was just there.
You know where he was most recently? He was coaching Allen.
Was he?
He was coaching Allen.
Okay, maybe that's it.
I don't think he's coaching Allen. Is he still coaching Allen? Chad, look, where's Chad Morris today? Because he's all over. I know his son was at TCU, and then where did he go? North Texas, and
they've been all over the place. Both of them. Both of them been all over the place.
Who the heck is Chad Morris? Wow, Chad Morris shut out. I didn't think that was.
Well, I'm looking it up, so we'll see.
It looks like Texas State.
Is he at Texas State?
Is he at Texas State? Yeah, Texas State.
Yeah.
Wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, no, he stepped away from that job in January 2025 to watch his son play his final college season. So
where's his son at? Where's Chandler Morris at? Chandler Morris, by the way, had beat out Max Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he was the starter. Remember that Colorado game? He got hurt in the opener. At the very end of the game, Max Duggan, who was the backup, comes in, and they go all the way to the national championship game. That's crazy.
So it says the former quarterback at. So he started at Oklahoma, went to TCU, and now he's at North Texas.
There you go.
Yeah. He's at North Texas? Okay. That's why I knew somebody was at North Texas. No, guys, I'm not forgetting Nick Towson and Jonah Williams at all. Nick Towson, was cool with him is he can play all over the place. He can play multiple positions. So, I'm not discounting him at all. And then we know Jonah's
here. Like he's balling out right now.
Yeah,
well, he's injured, right? He's hurt.
No, Jonah's playing baseball right now. But when he's on defense, Jonah Williams, I look at him no different than an Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons type impact. His freshman year. When you think about just them being on the field, so we got
That
5 minutes left.
That safety
I,
room's crazy.
it is.
That
It is,
safety
man.
room is. That safety room is. Yeah. Yeah.
Fellas, it's so good to have you guys back on here, man. What else do y'all want to touch on before you leave? I know we only got 5 minutes left before we got to wrap up. So, Clint, Jeremy, anything else you want to address or talk to the people about, or that's on your heart or on your mind about Texas football that you want to make sure that goes out to the public? I love Clint's face.
That's a stumper.
Anything
No,
else
I
we
think no,
missed?
I think it was awesome to be back. It's one of those things. It's like, I tell you, we miss it. Absolutely miss it. In Germany's like, hey, don't look at the views or any of that stuff because I don't want you to get too excited and me trying to come back. So that's exactly what he told me. Yeah, because again, you get excited about this, right? But again, it takes time, and we don't want to. It got to a point where it's like, hey, we're hit or miss, and I don't think that's who me and Germany want to be. Is hit or miss. But hey, we will take the opportunity anytime you want to invite us back on the channel, Steve. Man, we'll definitely
Absolutely.
game. It's just nothing. It's just something we can't do full time. Committed to too many things and trying to. I'd hate for it. I those that didn't hear before. I'm teaching high school. And that's all I need is them jokers to pull that joker up on the touchscreen tomorrow, talking about, hey, look at Mr. Lockby over here. Do the YouTube channel. So and plus I got to behave too, and that's not what I want to be, So
What subject do you teach, Clint?
history. So I'm teaching actually pre-AP world geography, freshman. Pretty good class. Do got a couple of AOs in there, but
Oh,
what do
I
you
would have been
expect?
a rock star in your class, man.
Yeah.
That was my favorite subject, was
You,
history.
you would think they just like it every day. They come in and, oh, we're doing work again. Oh, we're doing work again. And so I come to expect it. That's kind of who they are. I always tell people. People ask me, "You got bad students?" I know I got students that make bad decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But for the most part, I got a really good. But my content area is history 7 through 12. So
Nice.
I can teach everything history. So took a while to get there. But and people ask me all the time, "Are you crazy or what? Like, what are you thinking? Like this late in the game, thinking about teaching?" And I tell people, I've always been passionate about education and guidance, young people, and I can tell you that there's a piece of that missing in our education system. There really is.
100%.
Yeah.
No, thankful for what you're doing with those kids, man. They need it. Jeremy, what say you, man?
No, like Clint said, just happy to be on here with you. When we were producing content, like you said, it did take a lot of time to produce the product that we produce. A lot of research and coming up with show topics, and we tried to go 2 or 3 times a week. And the environment's changed. When me and Clint started, it was just you and Nino and us. And now on Texas football wasn't a thing on YouTube. Like we said, we originally we created our YouTube channel based upon what we saw when we were stationed in Korea, which was you and John, because that's the only place we could get football content. Because we had Armed Forces Network, so we couldn't really see ESPN and all those things. So how we caught up with Texas football was through you and your channel and John. And so we were inspired by you guys. Had a little time because it was during COVID, and jumped on, the scene. But as we grew to love it, like we're loving doing it now. It became one show became two show became three, then a pre and a post game show, which is keeping you from showing up to the stadium because you feel committed to that. So stopping the show allowed for us to attend more games. So happy to talk, ball with you anytime that you're willing to have us on. Excited. That was the one thing that me and Clint, as we transitioned to the SEC, when Texas, it was announced that Texas was joining the SEC, we were like, we can't wait to do a podcast of a juggernaut football team that's competing for championships in the Southeastern Conference. But we've got to see it and watch it through y'all's productions and other folks' productions. It's just we didn't get that opportunity because we just didn't have the time.
I just think we're a glutton for punishment. You know what I'm saying? We did it while it was bad. You know what I'm saying? Like
It was so
really,
bad.
really
We were
bad.
we were on here during the darkest times. All of us just trying to have therapy sessions with this fan base to keep things in order.
I will never forget that one loss after the was it the LSU game where we were sitting on the side of a gas station.
Yeah, that
It's
was OSU.
some guy, some random drunk guy goes, "Are you Tran and Steve from while we were videotaping?" Like, oh, oh man,
Man, thank you guys for tonight. It's been great. It's been so good, and we just appreciate, your friendship, right? And
100%.
running with y'all over the years, it's made us better. It's made me want to be just keeping up with what y'all are doing in your personal lives, being good men, right? And like you said, paying it forward. So we will definitely have y'all back on. Anytime you just want to anytime you want to vent, hit me up. We'll just jump on and do it together, man. No
Yeah.
worries at all.
I'm good with that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Out of the 100,000 fans that were around AT&T Stadium for the Ohio State game, we happened to run into Steve out of all places,
Out of
which
all places.
it was pretty crazy.
Where was I? Oh yeah, that's right. We rode in different cars. You went home, and we actually drove back.
It was before the
sulking.
game.
It was before the game.
No, it
Yeah.
was before the game. They were outside Texas Live.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was right.
I
It was.
did we not roll together?
I was looking for you at Texas Live. I
Oh,
hadn't found you yet. I found them before I found you, Tran.
Oh,
Mm.
Because you told me you were somewhere else, and then Christy had to go use the bathroom, and then I see Clint and Jeremy standing right there. I'm like, it was like reunited, and it feels so good.
so
And
what
we
we're
started
saying
talking
is
ball immediately. We started talking ball
Yeah,
immediately.
of course.
So no, I really appreciate you guys. Hey, Texas football talk on all platforms. I
Mhm.
still ask y'all to go support them. You never know when they're gonna pop back up and do whatever. These guys, like I said, they've pushed along the Texas atmosphere, Texas YouTube sphere. We've paid our dues. Now things are good. Everybody's outside, and we're happy. We want our community. We want people talking about Texas. We want our brand out there. So all the paid sites that are doing their thing, man, keep all that is nothing but a great reflection upon what we've done and what our program has done and what the
All right, y'all
program is
3 minutes
doing.
over. Y'all 3 minutes over
I
on your hard
know.
stop. But before
there
you
you
get
go.
off real quick, hey, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed to this channel. All right, y'all.
Hey, horns always up. We over. Thank you.